One way of understanding what's happened to mainstream radio is that it was just trying to catch up with what had already happened in television in the 1980s with the creation of MTV, the development of a centralized national marketing system controlled by advertising. MTV, now a global channel that reaches over 320 million households in 90 countries on 5 continents 24 hours a day, is vital to the marketing of music. And again, the major record labels have extremely close links with MTV.
We have to take a break. When we get back to the 2 most important music videos in the country, according to you at home.
MTV's Total Request Live, or TRL, has become a carefully constructed marketing tool. You would think that kids were picking their favorite videos out of MTV's massive library, but that's not the case. It's pre-scripted, pre-groomed selections from MTV's regular to heavy rotation. Now, of course, to get on that regular rotation, you need the promotional money, you need the connections, and you need the tie-ins. But with TRL, you can really watch the machine at work. It's become a vital promotional stop for recording artists. But most importantly, TRL reaches teens, and that is the key demographic for advertisers.
Come on over to Sears and get 3 totally exclusive Christina Aguilera and
What MTV has done is they've turned the entire 24-hour day into an infomercial. Their whole logic is every nanosecond of time on MTV should be all about pushing the commercial chains, making more money. And so they regard every moment, not just the official ads, as somehow a selling proposition. They're constantly selling music for a label, or they're selling some sort of clothing product, they're selling a lifestyle, but it's a pure commercial, infomercial experience when you watch MTV.
MTV's giving a really narrow perspective of what's really going on musically. Just so the same exact ideas, like the ideas about how it's really good to be rich, it's really good if you're a woman to have a really skinny body and huge tits and like really want to be looked at all the time and not need any of your personal space, and it's really good if you're a guy to have like 20 different women hanging on you and to treat them all like objects. I think the reason why these ideas are the ones that get played over and over again is because these are the ideas that make really good consumers. You know, if you have a lot of sexist imagery in your videos, then you have a lot of women who feel really bad about themselves and feel like, oh, I'm not as pretty as Pamela Anderson Lee, so I'm going to spend a lot of money trying to make myself feel better, you know? And then you have these guys who are like, oh, I'm not cool, I don't have like big biceps, and I don't have, 20 like big busted girls sitting around me, so I'm gonna like spend money to try and make myself cooler and make myself more appealing.
Of course, the music industry has always been part of the larger business world, and the goal of record companies has always been to maximize profits. But there's also something that's radically new today. The record companies are now owned by much larger corporations that also control movie studios, theme parks, radio stations, television networks, and internet companies, making cross-media marketing, or synergy, standard practice.
In terms of the music industry's conception of music as a series of revenue streams, cross-media marketing has now become the rule of the road. You can trace the beginnings of this all the way back to Robert Stigwood. This is the man who went on to found RSO Records, which was home to the Bee Gees. And what he did with the Saturday Night Fever album was really a masterstroke of what was called at the time cross-media marketing. If you followed the release plan for that record, they released the first single 2 months before the movie hit the theaters to create a buzz for the movie. As soon as the movie hit, they released the title song from the record, and so the movie helped to promote the record, etc. And so they very consciously played the media in tandem to create a synergy between the movie and the record. This is now commonplace.
Another example of this kind of synergy is the recent onslaught of reality-based TV shows which have a music theme. You might have heard of Pop Stars, which aired on the WB.
I want to be a pop star because it's been my childhood dream since I was a little girl.
As we take off on a nationwide search to create the next all-girls supergroup, the group will be chosen from thousands of hopefuls. Over the next 13 weeks, you'll witness their transformation to pop stardom.
With Pop Stars, you have synergy through all of the AOL Time Warner machine. The show is on WB, which is obviously part of Warner Brothers. Their album came out on Sire London, which is an affiliate of the Warner Music Group, which is also owned by Warner Brothers. After they did all of that, and after the show aired, their strategic alliances really came into play when they offered the single exclusively on AOL prior to its release. When that single was offered, it brought in 66,000 downloads in one day. They also launched a Win in Eden's Crush makeover contest, which was offered exclusively on AOL. In addition, they've plugged stories in all of AOL Time Warner's magazines, which include Teen People, Entertainment Weekly, and Time. So you really see the synergy in play with a show like Pop Stars, where it's fabricated, but in the end, it becomes the real deal.
You know, example of cross-company benefit is what we did with a show called Pop Stars on the WB recently. We've launched a new recording act that's getting a lot of buzz and seems to be a very popular act that Warner Records is putting the records out on. I just think there's hundreds of places that we can find where the company can work together and leverage its assets for the shareholders.
What's new about the success of Eden's Crush is not simply that bands are created out of nothing, but that the standard relationship between production and marketing has been turned on its head. Now the marketing comes first, before there's even a band. Martin Kirkup, who works for the company who developed the show, was quoted as saying, "We started with the marketing, picking the songs and the pre-production, and only then plugged in the artist." Synergy doesn't just happen within one massive company. It can also happen between companies, where an individual artist can become the linking point that brings them together, so that every exposure in whatever setting is beneficial to them all.
Teen Pop has really perfected the art of synergy by using a variety of elements within respective companies to promote other elements of business in a way that makes money for everybody. Take, for example, Mandy Moore.
Her voice was just very commercial to me. I mean, you know, some artists have different talents or different things that make them special. Mandy just has a very commercial tone to her voice.
Here's an artist that's signed to Epic Records, which is part of Sony Music, who's also a VJ with a 3-year contract on MTV, who can plug her own videos.
Check out the world premiere of my new video for my new single, Walk Me Home, on TRL.
Not only that, but she's also signed on with Neutrogena, whose ads get aired on MTV while she's plugging her own videos. Record companies are no longer looking just for artists. They're looking for artists that can be spokespeople. They're looking for tie-ins, they're looking for demographic reach, they're looking to push their products. And if they do this, they have a higher chance of success in what has become today's commercialized environment.